This is a statement from my heart. If you have substantial means, if you're financially secure and you do not give back, I don't want to know you.
Yeah.
I don't want to know who you are. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to be in the same room with you. If you don't have a giving heart, I don't want to know you.
Of course.
Period.
I mean, it makes, and again, what also is interesting about that is the values that align differently, right? Like, there's people you meet in life, just have different values. It's not ever going to work. And I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking like, oh, you have a value of honesty, integrity. Like, not everyone has that. You might think they do. No way. Right? It's like, but the values of having to give them back, where you think of other people first before yourselves.
That's right.
Like,
take my shirt.
Yeah, take my shirt.
Take it off. You cold? Got you.
Today on the New How podcast, we have Lenny Bazemore. Lenny is a husband, father, friend, and author. He has a fine art degree and is a serial entrepreneur who has conceptualized and created 12 different startups. He's an angel investor in multiple ventures, as well as an equity investor in a major software company. He has produced for film and TV. He loves making short films and being around film in general, and has traveled and explored on all 7 continents. He's an artist who paints and generally creates, and while on a trip to China in 2012, he consulted with a Feng Shui master who taught him simple principles based on color, material, and placement. This is where he picked up his nickname Zenlen. He uses the learned design principles in his art and construction projects as a real estate developer in Los Angeles. He is also a life coach for the LA Trade Tech men's college basketball team. And in 2023, he was inducted into the Norristown Area High School Hall of Fame, not for his football talent, but it was in recognition of his philanthropy.
Amen.
Lenny, privileged to have you on today, my man.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate that. And, one of the things that caught my eye when, I've known Lenny now for at least 8 years, 9 years, long time. 2014 maybe? 14.
Yeah.
A decade we've known each other. And you used to live in the area and you moved to the West Coast and power of social media. We've kept in contact and, witnessed each other grow. But, it was more recently that, plug in Lenny, he has a new book called Resilient, which we're going to dive into. And we're going to understand this because, myself, I'm passionate. I want to know how you get to create a book and how to do that. And, Lenny, as you can tell and just listen to, is involved in so many different things, and it's inspirational for what he's overcome. I do want to start this off though. This is rare for me. Before we learn all about Lenny, I want to read the first part of Lenny's book that, just to kind of set the tone from where you came from.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I'm going to read this. So in 1992, this dude named Lark Ramsey had just clocked me in the jaw. I punched him back with a quick combination, a left, then a right. I grabbed him and slammed his head against the wall, then body slammed him onto the blacktop of the parking lot. I started punching him, and soon after I felt 2 quick hits on my back. I reached around to touch my shirt. I felt something warm and wet. It was blood. No fucking way was I just stabbed twice. I touched the blood again, this time to make sure it was real. But I could feel myself slipping in and out of consciousness as I fell over. Everything looked so out of focus. The faces I could still see, the fists launching into my body I could feel. Everything had blurriness to it. People were screaming, and he was attacking me. I felt helpless, scared, and afraid to die. The darkness turning to light, and blood was gushing everywhere.
Everywhere.
And that's a real life experience that happened to you how many years ago?
32 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So take me back to the day. Take me back to, and I'm assuming that was Norristown, where you grew up. Talk to me about that. What was it like growing up in Norristown? And tell me, give me a sense for what that was for you.
Well, my book is based on some of my experiences, right? Some of the more memorable experiences. I really wanted to focus on things that weren't so great. But make no mistake about it, my life was really great. I didn't know I was poor growing up. I had great friends. And at times it wasn't so great. We didn't have, hot water. Sometimes we didn't have enough to eat. We didn't have electricity. Our father's situation was messed up. So there was good and bad, right? So my book focuses on the not so good stuff because, I wanted to show people where I really come from and where I am now. Stark difference, rags to riches. And, not to be soap opera-ish, but everyone loves a underdog story.
Of course.
So I wanted
being in Philly, the underdog, that's what Philadelphia is in
Rocky,
general.
Man, Rocky.
That's exactly what it is. So Norristown, you went to all through high school there, and I guess you played football. You mentioned
I was a high school football star.
Yep.
I wore number 1 for a reason.
I love that.
The last football game I played in was the All-Star game, North-South All-Star game. A friend of mine named Marshall Roberts played for Abington. He received the MVP for the South, and he went on to play at Rutgers University. And I played for the North team in high school, and I received the MVP for the North team. The game before that was a Thanksgiving Day game where, I obviously won the game with a 103-yard interception return for a touchdown on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
But I had scholarships across the country. A lot of Division I schools were reaching out to me, sending me programs and letters and, calendars and photographs of cheerleaders and stuff like that.
Come see our cheerleader.
Yeah, come visit our school, stuff like that. And I narrowed it down to a few schools. I went to Pitt.
Okay.
I loved it. And I decided I'm going to go to Pitt University. So my girlfriend at the time, I really couldn't afford to travel out there. My parents didn't have any money. And it was all on my mom anyway. And she was a trooper, right? She was the rock of the family. My stepdad really, alcoholic, couldn't keep a job. So it was challenging at times. Money was challenging at times. So I had mentioned this to my girlfriend's parents, and they said, well, who's playing next? And I said, Pitt's going to be playing Notre Dame. So my girlfriend at the time, her father had gone to Notre Dame. Her mother had gone to St. Mary's, which is the sister school. So they were like, oh, we'll take you. So I reached out to the coach, the Pitt coach, and he gave me 3 extra tickets. And I took them, or they took me and my girlfriend to Pitt University. And it was wonderful.
And that's where you ultimately ended up going to college? Or?
I really, really was dead set on going to college. Yep. But when we came back from that game, my girlfriend really started to act different. She would tell me, please don't leave me. Don't you dare leave me, stuff like that. And it kind of got in my head a little bit. And there was this guy picking with her. His name was Tony Buffa. I didn't know who he was, but his older brother, Jerry, was a friend of mine and played on my football team. So she said to me, listen, can you please tell him to leave me alone? And I said, well, tell the gym teacher. That's not my problem. Right? I didn't want any altercations. I didn't want any issues. And it's sad, but a few days later, Tony came up to me after school and he got in my face and he spit in my face and he smacked me and he went to hit me again. I ducked and then I hit him. Yeah. So I was defending myself. Yep. I didn't want to fight. Tried to walk away and he kept coming. And unfortunately, I got arrested and I was looking at 15 years in prison. Jesus. Yeah, I ended up getting 1 year probation, but I got expelled from high school. So I would have been the first person.
So everything kind of derails from there. Pitt's not going to look at you, right? Like it's all
gone.
It's all gone.
Scholarship's gone. Being the first person in my family to go to college, go to the NFL, buy my mom a house, that whole dream gone. Yep. So I never had a chance to play professional football or college football. So it's funny to think back to that point because what I know now, I could have easily, even though that happened, I could have easily did a pivot. went to junior college.
Exactly. What they call you see there's the
JUCO.
Yeah. Down in like Alabama, they have different
all across the nation. They have football programs in junior colleges. Yeah. I didn't know any better. I sat in my misery. I sat in my deep depression. I fiddled with drugs and alcohol, and I was messed up.
Bad headspace.
I didn't have a father figure that would pull me to the side and say, hey, get your stuff together, right? You can still end up where you want to be.
You feel like you're at the end of the road. You just need someone to pull you back and point you another way.
I didn't have that, right? So I just went on my merry way and went down the dark tunnel, found some light, went down another dark tunnel. I had to teach myself how to be a man. Yep. And that's why father figures in children's or kids' lives are important.
I think it's the most important.
Yeah.
And when they're not around, chaos ensues.
I wish someone was there and said, hey, Lenny, you have an amazing, amount of talent. You're gifted. You can do this. Do this instead, So long story short, a couple of years out of high school, a friend of mine who I played Little League football with became an assistant coach at a junior college. Right? He comes knocking on my door. Hey, Lenny, what are you doing on your mom's couch? You're better than this. Right? Come play football with me. And I said, okay. I ended up dating the girl that got me in that trouble in high school. I dated her after high school, on and off. And when my friend Kenny came to knock on my mom's door, I said, my God, I have another opportunity. So I broke up with her. I'm working out. I'm running. Getting ready to go.
Getting football shape, getting ready to play.
I'm going to go play college football at a junior college, right? God works in mysterious ways, right? It came back, another opportunity for me. As I'm getting ready to leave, my mom comes up and says, hey, I know you're getting ready to leave for football, but I have to tell you something. I said, what, Mom? She goes, Kathy's pregnant. I said, what do you mean? Kathy's pregnant. I said, well, it can't be mine. I broke up with her. She goes, baby, that's the problem. She's 4 months pregnant and never told you.
So now you're about to be a father in 5 months.
Just like that.
The world works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. I'm happy that, my kids are all healthy. They're okay, right? My son's 32. My two daughters are 29 and 26. It worked out. I was a good father because I learned how to be a good dad by not having one, right?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, everything seemed to have worked out. I struggled a lot, but it's okay.
So let's move forward a little bit to you starting to get into business ventures. When did that whole arena present itself to you in your path?
When I was early teen, I sold newspapers.
It's always something, right? It's always like, you talk to any true entrepreneur, they're like, yeah, when I was 8, I was
when I was 6,
shoveling dog crap.
I did that too.
Yeah.
I took snow contracts, shoveling snow contracts. The night before it snowed, if it snowed, I went to those houses that I had contracts with and I hit them all, boom, 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 made some money, went home. But when I was about 12 or 13, I had a paper route and I did end up buying myself new sneakers. And a couple of friends of mine were like, yo, nice kicks. Where'd you get them? I said, well, I have a paper route. This is how I do it. And I took on extra routes so that I could divvy out some to them. And I had to go around and collect.
That's the original entrepreneur. No one's taking more paper routes to divvy it up to their friends. Right. You always hear like, oh, I'm taking my paper out. Oh, my buddy's got to pay them now.
Subcontracting.
You were, that's great.
So that was fun. We had the lemonade stands and stuff like that as kids in the neighborhood. I used to sell T-shirts out the back of my car, which were cool. But my first real organized business was in 2002, the same year that I received my real estate license. Okay. It was an e-commerce company that I started, and I didn't know how to do any of it. So I went on Google, right? How do I do this? How do I do this? And I had the information and I just applied it. I took a step-by-step approach. And that's the basis of all of my success. So
that's amazing. And real estate license, you mentioned, when I introduced you, real estate development, obviously I've known you've done some stuff here in Philadelphia, but you're in LA. Talk about kind of some of that stuff and some of the projects that maybe you're excited to be part of. during that time?
Well, it's this whole sphere of deals being done and learning, right? I became a real estate agent in 2002, and most of my clientele were investors, right? So I did that for many, many years. And I would basically find them under market or off market properties for a good price. They would buy it, I'd receive a commission, right? They'd fix it up, give it back to me as a listing, I'd sell it.
You're like, I just sold it for this. 2 years later, I just sold it. I'm like, oh, those numbers, that's
right?
Interesting.
So I kept that in the back of my mind. So when I wanted more control over my my money making, right? More control over how much money I was making. I remembered, oh my God, those guys made a shitload of money in a short amount of time. So I transitioned from real estate agent to real estate investor.
So now you're going to start taking down, hey, you find that off-market deal, I'm going to take one.
Exactly. And that led me to Manayunk, right? Main Street. I bought the gallery building. I looked across the street. I bought that building for a great price. And I took a survey, right, of Main Street, Manayunk. What's not here, right? And the property values were undervalued.
Of course.
So I was like, I can make some money here. So I ended up buying a handful of properties, and I came up for air. And at that point, I owned seven buildings. I owned 4343-45 on the corner.
That's
where the Yanako is.
Well, also, I thought that was the Insomnia Cookies one. But
oh, yeah, they were a good tenant. Yeah. Did you know they ended up selling that business for $500 million? Yeah.
Cookies in an oven in a dorm room. Cookies in a dorm room, actually.
Good cookies. I love that company because obviously they were in my building. They were a tenant, but my office was above and it smelled like cookies. The whole office smelled like cookies. I love that. But no, I ended up owning seven. And the two that I mentioned, 4343-45, I bought them for $1.2 million. They were on the market for $1.8 million for 3 years. Now, here's one of those little nuggets, right? One of my strategies on the East Coast, in this region, when I was buying up properties, is to offer a low offer, very low offer, right? Let's talk about those two properties.
Like almost like I'm offending you with this type of offer, but I don't care.
Incredibly offensive. So take it or leave it offensive, right? So 4343-45, they were on the market for 3 years at $1.8 million. I said, my God, that's the kind of building I think I can make some money on. So Dan Nedison, right? We all know Dan.
Everyone knows Dan.
He was walking out. I said, hey, Dan, you going to buy it? He's like, no, it's not for me. I said, thank God. Because he owned everything.
He owned everything
right?
but that building.
So I walked in. I loved it. I was like, there's money to be made here. I bought it. But check this out. It was on the market for 3 years at $1.8 million. After I toured the property, I loved it. I offered 1.1 on a Monday in the middle of winter at 10 a.m. You tell me, and that's a nugget.
Yeah, of course.
You tell me who does not want to receive an offer for a property in the middle of winter
of course.
on a Monday morning at 10 a.m. Yeah. You're going to take it.
You're at least pondering it all day and all week, and you're like, it's
on
dark
a property
out,
that's been
you haven't sold it for almost 1,000 days, like,
right?
Yeah, what the hell?
Okay, so check this out. They countered at 1.3 million, and I was like, oh my God, yes.
All right, so they just dropped it 30%,
just like that.
Just like that, yeah.
I countered, final offer 1.2 million. So they agreed. I bought those two properties for 1.2 million. Yeah. They were giving me $12,000 a month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? For 2 years.
Yep.
I filled the space. I did a deal with Moon, Chef Moon, for Yanako and Chabatai.
Yep.
Put her in. There was 2 other apartments up top. Filled them in. 2 years later, I sold them for 2.1 million.
Yeah. Just like that.
5 years later, the guy who bought it off of me sold it for 3.1 million.
Yeah.
I love real estate.
Power of it. Great. So that's one out of many deals, and and then did you get rid of everything in Manioc, or you still have anything?
I did.
Okay, so
yeah.
you divest it, and then talk about, so now you've done your real estate thing. You're moving out to the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of starting your trajectory out there.
Let's go back a little bit, because I have another nugget. This is something that I created, and it worked out for me. I don't know whether it will work out for other people, but I had some vacant buildings on Main Street. So what I did was I conceptualized businesses to put in those spaces. Even though I own the building, I conceptualized a business to put in that space. So I own the space and the building, right? So for instance, the juice merchant, right? So I was in business for a while. I moved to California. I don't want to own any real estate that I can't drive to within a half an hour. That's just something that I just figured it out. That doesn't work for me. 30 minutes, I can do. Across the country, not something that I'm interested in. So I was paying myself, right? The business was paying rent, $500, right?
Yeah,
That's it. So that the business could be sustainable, right? And so
you have the true flexibility to do what you need
to. Flexibility with revenue, right? If we have an off month, it's fine. We can still push through because of the low rent. So one thing I learned how to do is I put the business, right, the juice merchant, on the market for sale. We used a business broker. We found someone. We had a deal, and it was great. Before we closed on a deal, I signed myself to a new lease. The business and the building signed a new lease.
Of course.
I just happened to be the owner of both. So at first, the lease was favorable to the tenant. And now the lease is favorable to the landlord, increasing the overall value of the building. So I sold the business, and then I sold the building, increasing the value, sell it. It's a nugget. So worked for me a few times.
As long as you disclose it all, there's no problem with it.
That's exactly right.
And that's the flexibility of real estate. And I can relate. I think, anyone that's operating in a business and owns it, you have the ultimate flexibility. And at the end of the day, even, you might have sold them separate. I'm not sure if you did, but in most businesses, a lot of business will buy a building because if they go to divest their business, hey, look at this real estate asset that comes along with it. That's already appreciating a value in the business. So
separate LLCs.
Yeah. Of course.
And then full disclosure. Right? Because once you buy the business, you're assuming the lease. It's full disclosure.
Absolutely.
And it worked for me. And so I sold everything and moved to LA.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so before about LA and all that, and we mentioned earlier, like produced film, short films, like you're into that. Is that what this whole LA thing is all about? Like, is that what got you out there? Because the film industry, or talk about that a little bit. I'm just curious on, what you did on that front.
Okay. So 2017, it was brutally cold in the winter. This is a long story. I'll try to keep it short. I feel like
that's the last time it snowed in Philadelphia, by the way.
I think it might have, right?
Like real snow.
American Express called us up and said, hey, we have an opportunity for you to see Stevie Wonder in New York. It's freezing cold out. My wife Teresa's like, yeah, let's go. So we drove from our house on the main line to 30th Street Station, caught the train up to New York. We had a chance to see Stevie Wonder, one night only, amazing concert in the Geffen Theater, amazing. We left, caught the train home, drove home. I could not warm up. I was freezing cold to the bone cold. And so I'm standing by the fireplace and I'm doing this right here. I can't warm up. I said, damn.
You'll have to curse. It's okay.
I said, I got to go take a hot shower. Right. So I went upstairs. I took a hot shower. I know my wife loves me because when I came down, there was a beautiful Bordeaux glass of red wine sitting on the kitchen counter.
And a stack of insomnia cookies.
Right? That would have been heaven. So I took the wine, sipping my wine over by the fireplace. And I said to her, Teresa, I don't want to spend another winter in Philly. Ever. born and raised here. I don't want to spend another cold winter in Philly. She goes, okay, what do you want to do? I said, just go somewhere for a couple of months. And she goes, okay. So she reached out to her cousin, Bobby, who lives in Pasadena, California. Bobby recommended Santa Monica. She said, oh, you love Santa Monica. So we rented a house for 2 months in Santa Monica on the beach.
Just to try it out.
Mm-hmm. For the winter. That's it. We're coming back just for the winter. You know how people, sometimes summer, right? Summer in the Hamptons. A friend of mine named Dave Ramondo made these T-shirts that say, I summer in country. Yeah. People get away for the seasons. I wanted to get away for the winter. So we rented a house in Santa Monica for 2 months. And while we were there, we went to all these cool little open houses, $1 million listing open houses.
Selling Sunset type vibes,
Yeah, that was before Selling Sunset. It was the $1 Million Listing show was it, right? So we go to all these amazing listings. We'd eat their hors d'oeuvres. We'd drink their champagne, and we'd roll out.
Yep.
Meet some new people. Hey, how you doing? Goodbye. See ya.
The ultimate happy hour.
Absolutely. There you go. The $1 Million Listing open house happy hour. Yep. So check this out. The 9th house we walked into, I couldn't believe it. You open the door and downtown LA is at the back of the window.
Just
it's
straight.
Picture perfect. It's right smack dab in the middle. And I was like, and my wife was like, right? Took our breath away. So we walk right in, and the guy on the couch with his feet up like he owned the place, it was Jason Oppenheim. Before it was Jason Oppenheim.
Yeah, of course. It was just him. He's like,
so he's like, walk through. We walked through the whole place. And, for the sake of making it a short story, we came down and he goes like this. Hey, I don't mean to be that guy, but the house has been on the market for a week at 5.6 million. Yeah. And we were like, holy shit. He was like, but, we have an accepted offer at 4.8 million. I was like, wow. The couple walks in and I was like, I didn't want this house anyway, congratulations. So Jason went on to tell us that he was filming a show. It's a pilot. It's the first show for this concept that he's going to pitch to Netflix. He titled it Selling Sunset. And we were like, yeah, good luck with the show. And good
luck, man. I'm sure it's going to work out for it. Yeah, right.
Right? So we leave.
That's amazing.
We leave, and I was like, we love the house, so we put in a backup offer, and
4.8 and $1.
4.8 million. You got to read the book to find out, But what's interesting about this story is we ended up getting the house, right? Friends with Jason, and I ended up on season 4, episode 4 of Selling Sunset.
I gotta write that down. Season 4, episode 4. Right?
Yeah. So he got the listing for French Montana's $5 million Calabasas Hidden Hills house. And I'm a prospective buyer, right? I work with Mary. She's great. Yeah. I was just,
amazing.
They invited us to the holiday party. Super Bowl party.
Nice.
That just passed. So we stopped down and said hi. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean,
it's Hollywood.
And you're still there, still love the spot.
Yeah.
Do you have any ambitions to spend winters elsewhere in the future?
Well, we've lived in LA for 5.5 years, and every season is amazing. So I don't have that same push, that desire to move or to leave in the winter, summer, spring, or fall. It's so beautiful at all times. The answer is no.
And you're setting up. So, and then you mentioned that, you're doing development now out in LA. So I'm assuming maybe with some of the connections you've made out there, you're starting to do projects.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I told you I made the transition from realtor to investor. Yep. And when I moved to LA, I had previously done some developing here, right? Gut renovations.
Yeah. Entitlement things. Yeah. Of course.
So I wanted to kick it up a notch. Mm-hmm. So then I became a developer. My current project is 1011 North Ogden. Yep. 5 new construction condos, luxury condos I built from the ground up. right? So it's a $9 million project.
Yep.
Beautiful subterranean parking.
Nice.
With each unit comes with 2 parking spots, and in 1 parking spot each is an EV charger, right? We got solar power on the roof, beautiful views of 360 views, partially downtown LA, Hollywood Hills sign. You know, it's amazing, amazing. Yeah.
And then, are you under construction right now, or where are you kind of at?
Yeah. We've been under construction for 2.5 years. The pandemic took us.
And look, it takes everything takes longer out there too. Even the entitlements in LA knows it's,
you know what? It depends on the GC that you choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some are very organized and efficient. Mine is very organized and efficient, but the pandemic did a number on us.
Of course.
Right?
It did a number on everybody.
Up, everyone across the world, right? Mm-hmm. So long story short, we have 5 units.
Yep.
Anywhere from 1.8 to 1.9, right? And we'll be done in 3 months.
Nice. So you have Mary and Jason sell them for you?
No, he doesn't know I have them. I hired someone. His name's Angel.
Okay.
Right? Kou, Angel. He works for the agency, right? Have you seen Buying Beverly Hills?
Yep.
Okay, so
I watch them all. My wife, she's always like, "Come on, you guys see this house?" I'm like, "I know."
So he works for that real estate company. I hired him because he found the property.
You have to do that. Now, the only thing I would just caution, I've had similar experience where I had an agent bring me a property that I thought I could do something with. I ended up doing something larger, but that agent wasn't equipped to sell that type of price. So as long as you're in line with, like, you knew you were going in to sell $2 million condos, and this agent brought in, they sell $2 million condos, shouldn't be a problem. But just cautionary tale for others that, like, you got to at least give them a shot, but like know full well, like, set a deadline.
Did you give them a shot?
I did. I gave them a substantial shot, and then
3 months. What?
I gave them the entire construction period. And 4 months after.
So you were set up for pre-sales?
I set up for pre-sales, so renderings, a whole shebang. Looked done. And then 4 months after, but unfortunately, my investors behind me were like, "What are you doing? These people don't sell $1.3 million homes. Like, get somebody on it that does." But then I brought in the person that did, and it was gone in 30 days.
Yeah.
It's like, it sucks, but it's like, you got to make sure you're working with the right professionals in that realm.
Lesson learned?
Listen, it sucks to have that conversation with the person that brought it to you, but I ended up making sure that the agent I brought on worked out a split commission with them, say at least still got something.
Generous.
Yeah, they got a referral fee like the agents do, but just trying to keep everything settled.
You're
but
good,
I needed to sell the freaking house at the end of the day.
You got to sell to go to the next.
Yeah, of course.
But that's incredibly generous of you.
You try.
You got a big heart, man.
Oh, you have to, right? That's what it all comes down to.
If you're in the business and want to continue to do business with a reputable name, yeah.
Talk to me about this Feng Shui thing. You went to China. You got to elaborate. It's from Feng Shui master. Talk about this. How did that change your life? What did it do for you?
My family and I, we went to China for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And while we were on tour, we went into a private home where I was consulted with. I consulted with Wang Yun, a Feng Shui master, and I had all these different questions, and he was like, "Keep it simple, keep it simple." And I'm like, "But in design, with the 90-degree angles when you walk in, do I just really, I was loaded up with all these questions, and he said, "Keep it simple." And he taught me simple principles based on color, material, and placement. It does not have to be complicated. It's more of an energy, right? So I took these design principles and I implemented them in my gallery on Main Street, Manayunk, right? Based on the 5 elements of Feng Shui. And when you walk in, it felt good, right? I was the first one to bring a living wall to Manayunk, right? And everyone loved it. They loved the space. So I have to admit, I enjoyed China, man. I was on the Great Wall of China, right? The Great Wall. and it's very strenuous, right? You can't just like walk.
No, you're like going uphill town.
Yeah. But the coolest thing about China for me was we went to a place called Xi'an.
Okay.
Xian, Xi'an. And they have something called the Terracotta Warriors. Have you ever seen the Terracotta Warriors?
I don't think so.
They're phenomenal.
Is it like statues or what? Like
statues? Yeah, terracotta statues. Yeah. And just look it up, and you will be amazed. It just blows you away. It takes your breath away. But we sailed down the Yangtze for 3 days. It was amazing. Yeah, I enjoyed myself in China. But yeah, I did use some of the design principles that I learned from him into my design, right? Buildings. And that's how I ended up getting the nickname Zen Len.
Zen Len. And that's what I was going to ask you. Right? Like, so what did he just like, was he like, Zen Len, you're saying too much? Like, what was he saying? Like, how'd you get that nickname?
Well, I mean, it's all in alignment, right? Because my name is Lenny, Len, and I was seeking for Zen. Mm-hmm. And it just worked out, right? Zen Len. It sounds really good. And then another nickname I have is the Golden Dragon. Okay. You see the Golden Dragon?
I do. Yep.
So the Golden Dragon is based on this story is a powerful story. It's in the preface of my book, right? There's this story about koi headed to the waterfall, right? It's beautiful Asian culture. Right. There's a story of folklore about koi swimming to the waterfall. And if they swam to the waterfall and jumped to the top, they'd be turned into a golden dragon. Right. So essentially, koi began swimming upstream, and half of them turned around because it was too difficult. Mm-hmm. For the ones who continued, the journey, right? Not the destination, but the journey was the important thing. Yep. They learned how to swim up current, how to deal with harsh environments, how to deal with, roadblocks, how to deal with anything that could stop you, any issues, problems, metaphorically speaking. Yeah. And some of them get to the bottom of the waterfall and they try to jump up and none of them can. So this one particular koi figured out that if I swam down to where it was the darkest and the deepest problems in life, give it to me. Just all the worst problems that a person could have in life. If I could fight through that, swim to the bottom and just start to swim up. I could build momentum. As I'm on my way up to the top, he hits the surface and ends up jumping to the top of the waterfall. And he was turned into a golden dragon, right? Because he was rewarded. And that's the story of my life, right? That's why my book title is Resilient: Achieving the American Dream. I've been through all kinds of hell. Been through all kinds of
You've been hardships. To the bottom of that pond.
Yeah. Now we're here.
Now you're the Golden Dragon.
Now I'm the Golden Dragon.
I love that. No, I mean, it's great. And then, some of the philanthropy, talk about Norristown area high school. Like, what's that got? Like, what's the feeling like that you're able to go back and do philanthropy there? Like, talk about that. Cause I don't think people realize at the end of the day, right? Success is one thing. Money, it shows up. It comes with that's the result. But like, what it's all about is giving back. Talk about that feeling and talk about what you did for Norristown.
My wife, Teresa, and I, we try to live in a constant state of gratitude, just like you. Yep. And with great reward, we busted our butts. She and I came up with a plan. We've been together almost 18 years. And when we first met, we were just friends for 6 months, right? Then we figured out, we got something here. Once we figured that out, we sat down on a couch and drew out a plan. And you plan and God plans, and it's totally different.
Try to align, but they're always different.
This just happened to align because God had our back the whole time.
Of course.
The plan that we sat down and tried to figure out together, it worked beyond our wildest dreams. So with great blessings comes the sense to give back, right? It's gratitude that we have, the blessings that we have. I mean, I can live wherever I want to live. She drives a Bentley, I drive a Bentley. You know, we live in a beautiful $10 million house in the Hollywood Hills. All this stuff, these blessings. We formed this sense of responsibility, right? So in 2017, I purchased a friend's home reluctantly because I was going to make a couple of bucks. All the time and the manpower I was going to put into that project for that little return wasn't worth it because I can redirect that money to a bigger project, right? That may not take as long. So I was reluctant, and he was desperate. So my friend's name is Kurt, and he said, "Lenny, look, they're going to take my home. I can't pay the taxes." I said, "Kurt, I don't want to buy this house. It's right across the street from where my mom lived, where I grew up. You see, when I was locked out of my house, I would go over there." So he was like, "Please, if anyone's going to make money on this house, I want it to be you." I said, "All right, what's the deal?" And he told me it's 40 grand. So I bought it for 40 grand. Him and his sister and two brothers divvied up the money. He didn't have a place to live. I gave him one of my apartments in Manayunk. He didn't have a job. I gave him a job at one of my companies. This got me. This hit me hard. I was ready to go gut renovate. Let's do it. Let's go. We went up there, started hitting the walls, and I felt sick. I'm going to make money off a friend's home who lost it when I used to be locked out of my house, and his mother used to let me in, keep me warm, give me hot chocolate.
In that same exact house.
When I got older, when I used to go visit my mom, I went over to his parents first. Kiss them on the forehead. How you doing? Everything okay? Spend some time with them. And then I would go see my mom. So they meant something to me. So as I told everyone, get out of the house, go down to Manayunk, go to the juice merchant location, start banging the walls there. I drove around Norristown feeling all of this power, right? This reminiscing, right? Nostalgia. And my heart just sank. I can't make money off this house. I felt sick to my stomach making $1 off this house. So I said, what can I do? I called my wife. She goes, you possess ingenuity. Figure it out. I was like, all right.
I know you feel like it's your responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, she's incredibly supportive, but you know, she knows that I can figure it out. And if I really need her, she's there. But I'm driving by the library. I'm driving by the old church where we played wiffle ball, football. I'm looking at the stoop where next to Via Venito's where we had pizza, right? Drinking 40s, and I drove past Roosevelt Field where I played high school football, and nostalgia really hit. And I was like, you know what? I figured it out. I Googled Habitat for Humanity, and their mission statement hit home, right? And so I called up, the president or the CEO. And I said, hey, I think I want to donate a house.
They don't get those calls every day.
Yeah, I've never done it before. So they said, okay, what's the deal? I said, well, I got the house appraised. It's worth 50 grand, and I'll give you $50,000 cash to fix it up. And so they came, they accepted, they took the money, they took the property. It was great. And a little while later, my mom was having some problems paying the real estate taxes. So I said, look, Mom, I don't want you to have the house anymore. You can't afford to live there. So let me and Teresa, my wife, buy it from you. So it was valued. We had an appraisal at $125,000. So I gave her $140,000. She paid off the $30,000 in the mortgage. She pocketed and put the rest in her account for retirement.
And then go and find a spot to rent. Yeah.
I got her an apartment, and she was having car trouble. So my wife and I said, you know what? Go down to Toyota, pick out a Toyota Highlander, brand new, choose the color you want, and we'll buy that for you. So she didn't have any more car problems because now she has a car with warranty. So we now own the home. So we donated that home to Habitat for Humanity plus $100,000 cash to renovate. CEO called me, can I take you to coffee? I said, yeah. And then we pledged $1 million to Habitat for Humanity. So my wife and I wanted to give back that way.
Amazing.
It's cool.
Cool. It's just not, it's cool.
You got to give back,
it's
man.
the impact. I mean, it's, that's why it happens. And I truly believe that like the cycle's real, right? Like there's certain people that elevate to a level where they get there, some veer off and crash and burn because they don't see the true light at the end of the tunnel. That's like, no, how do you recycle back into humanity, right? Like literally,
this is a statement from my heart. If you have substantial means, if you're financially secure and you do not give back, I don't want to know you.
Yeah.
I don't want to know who you are. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to be in the same room with you. If you don't have a giving heart, I don't want to know you.
Of course.
Period.
I mean, it makes, and again, what also is interesting about that is the values that align differently, right? Like, there's people you meet in life, just have different values. It's not ever going to work. And I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking like, oh, you have a value of honesty, integrity. Like not everyone fucking has it. You might think they do. No way. Right. It's like, but the values of having to give them back, where you think of other people first before yourselves.
That's right.
Like,
take my shirt.
Yeah. Take my shirt.
Take it off. You cold? Got you.
Now, I also have another side. I mean, again, I'm curious on your opinion. I also think you got to get to a certain spot for yourself to take care of yourself, to have means to
I don't
help
agree with you only because, you don't have to have a lot to give.
Yeah. Well,
right. Did you see recently that little kid who thought that guy standing in the corner was a homeless person and he went up and offered him $1? Yep. That comes from his heart.
Of course.
Right. So that is the basis of giving. Yep. I just happen to have financial success and I have a few bucks and I decide to give how I want to give. So I give in grand gestures. That's different, right? Yeah, but no, I think the average person has it in their heart to give, opening doors for people.
Of course.
Right?
The basics.
The
basics are always there.
Basics are all the foundation of morals and values are within all of us.
And I think maybe I meant it a little differently. Like,
tell me how you meant it.
Well, no,
tell me how you meant
it. Everyone gives to an extent, but like,
substantially,
not necessarily substantially, but I'm talking, you have to put yourself first in order to then have the means and understanding what it means to give, right? Like it's one thing, I'm going to go volunteer for the day to do this. Like that's a Band-Aid, right? Like
Brian,
it's literally
you and me,
life. Yeah.
If it's you and me, this is all about who you are. I got a sandwich and I'm starving. I need that whole sandwich. If it's you and me, I'm giving you half my sandwich. First, I want you to bite the sandwich. Tell me how it tastes. Brian, is it good? And then I'll bite mine. You're a good person. You are a really, really straight up, stand up guy. So why wouldn't I want to share what I have with you?
Of course.
Now,
and likewise.
Now I need to have something to share.
Correct.
Now, if I have nothing to share, then I'll give you my time.
Correct. I like that. That's huge.
And that's one thing that I'm proud of as a father, right? Because I had two fathers. I met my first I had my biological father. I met him when I was 13.
Is this some Robert Kiyosaki stuff? Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
So you're about to pull some Rich Dad, Poor Dad on me a little bit? Talk about it though. This is interesting.
I mean, I think that's a great book and it should be read by many people. But I had two fathers. Right? I had a stepfather and a biological father. Neither one of them are in my life, right? My stepfather lived with me in the same household, barely said 2 words to me my whole life, very cold. I met my biological father when I was 13, going on 14, emotionally unavailable, right? So I haven't had, a really good foundation of learning how to be a man. Right. So one thing I taught my kids, right? Again, I previously said I learned how to be a good father by not having one. But my kids know how to give back. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's very important.
Well, lead by example, right? I mean,
that's lead by example. Do you have any children?
Not yet.
How many do you want?
At least 2.
At least 2?
At least 2.
All right. So teach them how to give back.
Of course. But it's following, right? It's the actions, right? Like there's even studies, they say like if the mother, father work out, right? Like the chance of that kid not having a heart, like it's crazy, but it's
seeing it is believing it.
Yeah. Lenny, I want to read. So I started off this podcast by reading a bit, but now I want to read because we're going to wrap up here shortly. I have a couple other questions, but I want to read this. So We talked about, last thing I read was you getting stabbed twice in the back.
Yeah.
Blood.
Yeah.
It was now 2022, 30 years later, and I remember waking up screaming, I don't want to die, over and over again. The bed sheets draped around my legs, the darkness of the bedroom suffocating me. It must have woken Teresa because I remember seeing her beautiful yet worried face trying to calm me down, but she couldn't. Something wasn't right. My chest was tight. I struggled to breathe, and it felt someone was smothering me. Teresa called 911 at 3:30 in the morning, and I tried to calm down. I know we must all die, but at some point all I could think about was everything we worked for. There I was, just a little black kid from Norristown who fought his way out of poverty to become the first multimillionaire in his family, living in a beautiful $10 million home in Hollywood Hills, overlooking all of Los Angeles with his and hers Bentleys, our charitable contributions that help so many other people, the international vacations. What the fuck is going on, I thought. This can't be happening in my life right now. I have so much left to do. The way I see it, I'm just getting started in life. So what's next?
What's
for
next?
Lenny?
That's a great question, Brian. I've been blessed beyond my wildest dreams, right?
Yeah, so it's unbelievable. And you're a young guy too. I know you're
55.
Yeah, you're
Black don't crack, baby. I was just saying. Look at this. Look,
the facial. It's crazy what you've done.
Thank you. So listen, what's next?
Yeah.
I've been to all 7 continents. I've been around the world. I love travel. I drive a nice car, live in a nice house, have some bucks. When you ask me what's next, I have to tell you straight from the heart. Have you ever heard of Jay Shetty?
Yeah, why does that name ring a bell?
Right?
Yeah.
He's a life coach.
Yes.
He's on Instagram, all over
seen his stuff.
Instagram.
Yep.
Right? I'm taking his course, right? It's a life coach, a professional certification course, because I want to give back to people. I want to teach them how, if they're stuck, how to get out of your own way and propel yourself forward. So I'm going to donate a lot of my time
Love that.
to other people.
And do that till you find something next thing.
You know what I'm saying? I can make another deal. I could do another project. I could do all that. And I will continue to do that. But the majority of my life will be dedicated to helping other people, right? Life coaching other people.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best feeling. It's the best to give back. I don't think there's no amount of money. There's no amount of fame, success, like the impact that you can give to somebody and see what they're able to do. Like I give an example, and people don't realize this. Like I have mentors around me, right? And some of these mentors, I told you I'm 34. I have mentors in their 80s, and I have a guy who's in his 80s. He's still hustling to this day, right? But like he calls me on the phone. He's coming to my office tomorrow at 9 a.m. Just and this guy, you get the sense, involved in 48 companies. literally, has a B right behind his name. This guy is still hustling, but the reason he calls me is because he gets the amount of money he makes, right? Planes he flies on doesn't matter. It's being able to have the reward of giving me, right? Me personally, I know he does with other people, but tell me something that I go execute on and watches me elevate below him.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's a responsibility I have, right? Like, it's him passing the torch, right? He's 80. What's every 83, 84-year-old want? They want to get to 85, 86, right? Like, it's a real thing. But the fact that he's spending his time calling me for an hour to worry about me and my business and what I'm doing, to just give me nuggets of information, that's got to be the best feeling for him.
It's got to be.
It's not about the money. It's not about.
But what about you?
Well, for me, I feel like I even have more responsibility.
So will you pass it forward?
Absolutely. And I do. I don't pass it forward. I'm not at that level, right? But I still talk to people that are just starting businesses or trying to get a side hustle going. Like that's where I can give back. I can teach people how to start an LLC correctly, right?
There you go.
And get off the ground.
You go.
But, I'm not advising from a position of exiting a company for 9 figures quite yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
But
maybe someday.
Maybe.
Let's hold. Wait.
Look, if it's not that, I bet I get close.
Close? This isn't a horse race like the Derby. Come on. Listen,
Look,
you have to claim it.
Of course.
You have to name it. We were all taught how to manifest when we were little.
Yeah.
Remember in class, they used to say, if you believe it, you can achieve it.
It's the visions.
That's it.
And then people forget about the vision. They don't think they matter.
They all matter. All humans matter. And I hope that people start to really understand the connection between us all.
Yep.
There's a beautiful energy between us all. We're all on the same frequency. Even if we live in different areas, you just got to take a deep breath and, right?
How many times do you think we've been here before, Lenny?
On Earth? Reincarnation?
Yeah.
Evolution is something else, man. I don't know, but I know we have.
And what's crazy is, because look, you've had success as I have. It's weird how the people that I've met and that I've done business with and ran into, it's just like how they just seem to appear at the right time, at the right place, in the right conversation. What I've been told, and by people much more successful than me, generational families and things, that this is going to happen regardless. It's just we were here before, but we might have been taking over villages or
just along for the ride,
just at a different way in life. And it's crazy when you look back, but it's like when it starts to happen enough, it's not by chance.
Manayunk was a village.
Crazy.
Taking that shit over.
Taking it back.
Well, I already did my part. Now it's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
So listen, one thing I wanted to point out in my book is I do focus on my trauma.
Yep.
Right? I focus on my trauma. I'm very open and honest about my trauma because I want people to know that I was in therapy for it.
Yeah.
Right? I wrote this book in conjunction with therapy sessions, and it took me 2.5 years. Therapy is very important if you need it. It's not designed to fix us.
Yeah, no.
It's designed to give us the power to move forward, leave our traumas and our past behind. Right? So I really, really pinpoint that and talk about it because it's important.
Everyone goes through something, and it's good. It sounds like you're letting people know they're not alone, and there's ways to handle the worst situation of being stabbed in the back twice. Yeah.
I'm lucky to be walking,
overlooking the hills of Hollywood and everything in between.
Beautiful appreciation for life.
It's unbelievable. Lenny, any last little nuggets that you want to give the listeners of your journey to date that you wish you knew 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago?
Education is key. Therapy is key when needed. And just like to tell them, do the right thing the right way until you get the right results.
I love it. Do the right thing the right way till you get the right results.
That's it.
Lenny, thank you so much. Again, Lenny Bazemore, Resilient.
Thanks for having me.
Out on Amazon. Where else can I find this?
Amazon.
I get it. I get digital.
What else? You have it in 4 days.
Are you got any book signings coming up or anything?
I did do an audio book.
Okay.
But I will announce some book signing tours.
Amazing.
Eventually, right? But yeah, I just got a really good international review, right, from Kirkus Reviews, which is solid.
Yep.
But I'm just getting started, man.
Exactly.
But thanks for having me. This was my first podcast.
I appreciate you coming on, and thanks for coming to the area and spending the time with us today.
Absolutely.